So before I start, I have to apologize because this video took way too long to record and edit. So hope you guys will forgive me. And second, in the video when Deku say his master, I mean his mentor, I slipped because he always call him Master Jin. So remember, each time he tried to talk about his master, he mean his mentor. And with that, let's start the video. Hello there guys, it's Kevin here, back on a video, and today I'm going to do What If Deku Was Reborn part 36. Hope you enjoy it. So let's start, we begin with the 4th season, specifically the beginning of the Overhaul arc, and it was a bit different from the original. First off, Deku and Bakugo got an opportunity to work with Sir Night Eye, and yes, Sir Night Eye was against Bakugo having one for all. So after doing the same deal that Deku from the original anime did with him, spoiler alert, he didn't stand a chance. So Deku and Bakugo started doing the work study with Sir Night Eye. On the other hand, not only Kirishima, but also Kaminari did his work study with Fat Gum, or doing it with Fat Gum. And from this point on, the story continued almost the same way as the anime did. Deku and Bakugo and Mirio go on patrol, Eri bump into Deku, they meet Overhaul, and the only change that happened is Deku making a clone that follow Overhaul. So with that, Deku know where Eri is kept, and he did make contact with her, but because each time she asks for help people die, she tell Deku to stay away from her for his safety. And because Deku don't have any real reason to take Eri from Overhaul yet, he decided to leave her there, against his better judgment. Then we have the ordeal with Kirishima and Kaminari against the thugs, and Tamaki got shot by the quirk erasing bullet, but this time the thug was quickly dealt with a quick combo from Kirishima and Kaminari, they knock him out. And with that they save a couple of bullets that are still remaining inside the gun, and they hand it over to Fat Gum. And after all of that, everybody returned to their dorms, and I think that's it for summary. Let's begin. So for the next couple of days, Deku was acting pretty weird. He's quiet more than usual, and each time they're doing something, for example they're studying or anything, Deku is always lost in his thought. And when they are training, Deku quickly finishes training and go on with his day, no questions asked. And without saying, everybody was worried about him. And this change occurred right after the first day of his work study. So they asked the only person that they know that he was with him that day, and it's Bakugo. So he tells them what happened. They met Eri, Overhaul, and Deku instinct. And they all know that Deku's instinct is always right. So when he tells them that something is wrong, there is definitely something off. So everyone starts thinking of a way to help Deku. But Aizawa quickly shut him down and tell them that is the reason why Deku is doing nothing. Because he can't. That Overhaul person is in his legal right to punish Eri because she's his daughter. And Deku cannot do anything just from a hunch. Remember guys, in this point of the story, nobody knows that Eri is not actually Overhaul's daughter. Everybody believed him until the meeting, so please keep that in mind. Then Aizawa ended by telling them Deku knew that the rules are different from the other world and this world. Although he's used to saving people in the other world, he have a lot of restraint in this world. Primarily, he's still a 16-year-old kid on paper. All of you are, and students, so you don't have a lot of freedom to talk in this matter. So the best thing that you guys can do is just let him do his own thing. Everyone felt defeated, including Aizawa. This kid right now, he's going against everything that he believed in, just because he don't have a license. And judging by how people treat him in the other world, he knew that Deku would become a great hero to this world also. The only thing that stopped him from being one is just a piece of plastic. So later that day, after Deku returned from his patrol, and he returned quite late this time, he saw that someone is still in the living room. He thought that is Aizawa. So he entered, and to his shock, it's not Aizawa, it's Momo. After she saw him, she greeted him, and Deku asked her what she's doing up late. Momo told him that she's waiting for him. Deku gave her a slight smile and told her that he appreciates the gesture, but it's bad for her to have to stay up late. Momo told him to sit down next to her, they need to talk. Deku did, then she asked him is everything okay. He was acting weird the last couple of days. Deku that nothing is wrong, he just tired from his work study. Then we'll drop the bomb and tell him we know about Eri and Overhaul. Bakugo told us. Then Deku whispered, Demon King, really? Then we'll tell him that they know that he's having a hard time coping with the fact that he can't do anything to save that little girl. Deku looked down in defeat. Then Momo adds that to tell him the truth, she can't think of anything that could help him. The best thing that she can think of is to let Sir Night Eye investigation solve the problem, and that might take some time. So the best thing that he can do is just wait. Deku sighed and said, yeah, I know, but I cannot shake this weird feeling that something is wrong, really wrong. Then Momo pull him for a hug and tell him that she's sorry she can't do anything to help him. Deku hug her back and tell her don't worry about anything. If there is a solution, he will find it. Momo tell him, yeah, I know. Then Deku carry Momo like a princess and tell her, let's take you to bed, it's really late. She smiled and he took her to her room. So after this talk, Deku cheer up just a bit. But that weird feeling cannot go away for some reason. So a couple of days rolled by and Deku tried to make contact with Eri once again. But sadly, it's still the same result. Then from the blue, they get a call from Night Agency telling them to come without their costumes. They thought that was weird, but okay. When they exit, they meet Kirishima and Kaminari, then Oraka and Tsuyu. Then for some reason they go the same direction and Deku feels something is really off. Then when they meet some pro heroes, Deku feels that something big is going to happen. So when they arrive at Night Agency, they met the big three, Aizawa and a lot of pro heroes, including Grand Torino. And you're asking why Grand Torino is here. He didn't meet Deku in the Stain arc. And you're right, but the reason he's still here is related to Deku and Bakugo. So Night Eye call him to give him his thought on Bakugo. Then Fat Gum tell them about the bullet and what he found. So things escalate from there. And here we are. Plus, Night Eye want to know what Grand Torino think about the theory that Izuku Midoriya is White Ninja. But I think I already said more than enough, so let's return to the story. So everybody gather, and it begins same as the enemy they talk about, the hero network, and then Rock Lock tell them that it's annoying that having kids, even though they are from UA. Then Fat Gum interject and tell him that Kaminari and Kirishima are a big help. Then he told them about the Quark erasing bullet and what he found make him sick to his stomach. Whatever was in it, it have human DNA. Bakugo, Deku and Mirio froze in shock. Then Rocklock made the comment if they only have token Eri, they won't have to deal with this problem. Bakugo was about to say something but Night Eye beat into him and tell them that these three did nothing wrong. The opposite, they did the right thing and do not endanger the operation. Then he stopped and started looking at Deku. Then immediately everybody do the same. On the other hand, Deku started remembering the moment that Eri tell him to not go, over and over again. His hair starts spiking up, and he took a slight bluish color. And with his last ounce of his patience, Deku asked Night Eye if he have a plan. Night Eye snap out of it and tell him yes we do. Then he showed them a number of places that have the possibility that have Eri kept in. And before the pros can say anything, Deku tell them that is not necessary, he already know where Eri is. Everyone was stunned, well except his friends. Then Night Eye tell him, how does he know? Deku create a clone behind him and tell them I use this to track him back to his hideout. Then he tell them about the secret door and which room Eri is kept in. Then once again Rocklock make another comment that if he know where Eri is, why did he not take her already? Deku slammed the table, breaking it into pieces and tell him, don't you think I already think of that? I just couldn't. I couldn't with everything that happened to UA. Getting attacked twice by the League of Villains. Then losing All Might, everyone is on edge. So if I rescue Eri, the bad press will go off on UA. And in the worst case scenario, everybody will be expelled. And UA will be removed from the system. That's why I couldn't save her. I couldn't risk anybody's future just for a hunch. Then you tell me that my hunch was correct and that poor kid was getting torn to pieces every day? You're lucky that I'm still here and not going to barge into the bastard's house and turn him to smoke. And the second he finished, his eyes turned to his dragon form. Then he looked at Sir Night Eye and tell him, how long will it take you to get a search warrant? Night Eye tell him, judging for how serious the problem is, few hours. Deku tell him, fine. I already told you where Eri is. We don't have to waste our time just searching for it. Just give me the okay to save her. Then Rocklock tell them that we are really going to believe this kid? Deku looked at him and tell him, come on, really? Then he put his hand on his head and show him a bit of his memory. Specifically how he get to Eri and where is the hidden door. Rocklock was shocked and tell him, did I just saw your memories? How did you do that? Deku tell him, how do you think that our brain work? By weak impulses of electricity. So if I reduce the voltage, I can transfer a bit of my memory to you. In layman's term, I connect both of our brains. But this is a new technique, I still have to work on it. So now do you believe this kid can just shut up? Rocklock finally shut his mouth and nods. Deku tell him, good. Everybody start looking at Deku, then he tell them, we don't have time. Senat, please get the search warrant ready. And I think you guys need your costumes, right? Pointing at Bakugo and Kaminari and the rest of the students. They nod and everybody go on their way. Eraserhead approach Deku and tell him, kid, you're okay? Deku sighed, tell him, I will be. He put his hand on Deku's shoulder and tell him, don't worry, we will save her. Deku tell him, yeah, I know. And Eraserhead tell him, just promise me something. Deku look at Aizawa, tell him, what? Aizawa tell him, don't kill anyone. Deku grins and Aizawa tell him, promise me, kid. Deku tell him, you have my word. The Aizawa tell him, okay. Then he left him alone. Then for the surprise of Deku, Rocklock approach him and tell him, yo kid, I'm sorry what I said earlier, okay? Deku tell him, yeah, I know. And I think you're right, you don't have to believe a word from a kid. Especially when we are dealing with the life of a person. Rocklock don't have anything else to say and it's a bit awkward, so he tell him, don't worry, we will save her. Deku just nods. Then after a couple of hours, everybody return with their hero costumes and Night Eye return with the search warrant. Well, not exactly tell them that he have it, but they have to go to the police station first. Or whatever they wore in the anime. Then everybody start putting their hero costumes, then Reggie remarked that Deku is not wearing one. Aizawa tell Deku to put on his hero costume already. Then Deku left hand start glowing and the armor appear on it. Then he clenches his fist and the armor starts slowly appear around him. And the last piece was the mask, or the helmet. Mirio asks Deku where this come from, but Bakugo tell him that this armor is a part of his quirk, so he's always ready. They nod and they go on their way. After the brief meeting with the police, they head to the Hisaikai headquarters. And when they are ready to barge in, Rikiya, I believe that is his name, barged through the door. But the second he did, Deku using his fast reflexes and his immense strength pushed the door away from the cops. And immediately when Rikiya lifted his hand, Tsui wrapped her thumb around his arm, Uraraka used her quirk on him, Aizawa cancelled his quirk, then Bakugo and Kirishima sucker punch him to the air, then Kaminari finish him off with lightning bolt, knocking him out, then Uraraka cancelled her quirk, or stop it, he started falling down, Deku catch him with one arm, then he threw him to the ground. Everyone was shocked. They work in perfect unison. Then Deku tell Uraraka and Tsui to guard him just in case he wake up. They nod, then he starts running and everybody else try to keep up. Then the members of Hisaikai try to stop him. Deku is having none of it, he punched one and lightning running through all of them at once, almost like Thor did in Ragnarok. Everyone passed out from the attack. Then he continued running to the door, and when he arrived he quickly put the combination. 3 thugs try to attack him but he quickly dealt with them, and guess what, he continued running. He's almost like a juggernaut, nobody can stop him. And when everybody finally catch up, they see the hallway blocked with the wall. Deku was going to break it, then Mirio stopped it and tell him, let me take a look. He faced toward and see there's still a hallway. And the second he said that, Deku break the wall. But before they start running, Joey uses his quirk to make the ground, I don't know how to describe it. So he just used his quirk, but Deku is having none of it, same as Mirio. They start running. Mirio fades into the wall and Deku breaking them. And before Bakugo or Kaminari catch up with them, Joe uses his quirk and make a hole under them. Bakugo decide to punch through it again and catch up to Deku, but Aizawa tell him that it's too dangerous. They tell them if they continue directly, maybe they found a way up. But sadly, they were stopped by Toya, Hojo and Tabe. Sorry if I butchered their names. Wait, I'm not sorry, the second they introduced themselves, Tamaki and Kaminari intervene. Kaminari shocked 2 of them, and Tamaki used his chicken feet to stop the last one. And if you're asking why Tamaki don't have his self-doubt like the anime, it's because when he saw Deku's motivations and his will to save Eri, he decided to do the same and give it his all. So they tell the rest they can handle this and just go on. So they did, and sadly for the trio, when they tried to put up a fight, keyword tried, Kaminari is too fast for them. On top of Tamaki, arsenals of moves. They are immediately dealt with. So the group continue, then once again Joe used his quirk to split them even more. And because they were taken off guard, Fat Gum and Kirishima were taken away. And they encounter Hakiji and Kendo. They introduce themselves, Kendo make the first move and attack Fat Gum. But before his attack land, Kirishima appear in front of him and block all the attacks. Although they are powerful, Kirishima is used to more than this, so his unbreakable did not break. Then he starts exchanging blows with him. Both Kendo and Fat Gum are impressed with this kid. He's able to hold his own, and Kendo tell him that he's strong for a kid. Kirishima smile and tell him, it's all thanks to my friend. Kendo tell him, your friend? Kirishima tell him yeah. And trust me, he's far stronger than me. And believe me when I say, he will stop your boss. Kendo smile and tell him, I want to meet your friend. Kirishima smile and tell him, if you beat me first. And trust me, that will not happen. Then they charge at each other one more time and they start fighting. But midway through the fight, Hakiji use his sword and make a shield around Kendo to stop Kirishima's attack. Kendo starts yelling at him and tell him to remove the shield. You want to fight this kid? No, this man. In a 1v1. So after he threatened him, Hakiji removed his shield around them and only shielded himself. Then Fatgam grabbed Kirishima aside and told him, I have a plan, let me fight him. Kirishima nod and let Fatgam fight him. After he whispered the plan into his ear. So Fatgam stepped in and tell him, you're going to fight me now. So they start fighting and like the anime, so Fatgam let himself get beat willingly to gather strength. Then when he is at his max, he signaled to Kirishima to step in. Kirishima step in and start fighting Kendo, and they are tied. Until Fatgam ready his final move, I completely forgot what his name is. And when Kirishima see that, he tripped Kendo and after a powerful punch, he sent him flying at Hakiji. Hakiji was forced to catch him, and the moment he did, he see Kirishima and Fatgam charging at them. He used all his strength to make a shield around both of them, and Kendo tried to block with his bare hands. So both of them used their final moves, not only break through the shield, but breaking both of Kendo's hands and knocking Hakiji out cold. Then Hakiji slowly get up and tell them, let's fight some more. Fatgam tell him, you're crazy, both of your hands are broken, you cannot fight. Then he tell him he need to keep fighting and get stronger. Then he tell him his backstory and how he got into the Saikai. Then Kirishima tell him, we won, you lost, so that's it. Then Kendo tell them about the room where they can rest and heal their wounds. They accept, but they keep their guard up. Fatgam is pretty beat up, so he need his rest. Kirishima on the other hand is a bit beat up, but still can fight. So let's go to the group where Bakugo is. They start running and once again Joey uses his quirk and block them. After a few times Bakugo had enough. He started remembering the lesson of Deku. He kept looking and looking, then he saw where Joey is. He ready a powerful AP shot with one for all, and the attack make a direct hit, making him fall to the ground unconscious. So with that, Toga cannot attack Rock Lock. And the best thing that they can do is just run, because if this kid is here, the other one will be nearby. And by the other one they mean Deku, because remember the last time they saw him is when he unlocked a complete dragon form and he killed Moonfish, so they're pretty terrified of him. So they try to escape, but they move slowly because the place is surrounded by cops. So finally let's go to Deku and Mirio. So when everybody were fighting, Deku and Mirio finally catch up to Overhaul and Hari. And when Deku see Eri, he smile and tell her, I did say that I will come for you. Overhaul is questioning himself what this kid is talking about. Then he tell them they are done playing schoolboys. Deku is having none of it. He charged toward them, he uppercut Overhaul and he elbow Eri in the gut. Both of them in the ground unconscious, and Deku is holding Eri in his hand. Mirio is shocked by Deku's speed. It's not like when he fought him. Then Sakaki tried to use his quirk on Mirio, but luckily to him, for Mirio I mean, Deku sees him and used a small electric shock to stop him. Not even 1% of his true power. I mean his base human power. Then Deku used electricity to carry everyone out. In the way they met Bakugo's group and they were shocked to see Overhaul already captured. So they go outside, they meet Kaminari and Sun Eater along the way. They took everybody out and they head over to the cops. Deku asks Eri if she's okay. She nods and Deku ruffles her hair and tells her she don't have to worry about anything else from now on. Then when everybody think that it's over, they feel the ground breaking beneath them and some spikes appearing everywhere. Luckily to everyone else, Deku was there to break most of them and protect everyone. But unfortunately the vehicles were destroyed except for the ambulance. They look at the direction where the attack come from and they see Overhaul. They were shocked. They look behind them and see Overhaul in handcuffs. But there is another Overhaul in front of them? Yep, you heard me right. It's a copy of Overhaul. Twice make it, but not only him, he make also a copy of Rikia and Kendo. Everybody is wondering where did they come from. Then Deku's clone, yes, he's still there, saw Twice and Toga. He jumped at them and captured them. Then the copy of Overhaul uses his quirk one more time to free his original self and the rest of the Saikai. But not all of them, only a few people from the 8 bullets. Reikiri, Kendo and Joey. copy Overhaul fakes Kendo's arms and tell them to get ready to fight. Then Overhaul starts telling Eri to come here. She doesn't want anybody to get hurt because of her, right? Eri tried to come back, but Deku hold her tightly and tell her, I let go of you once, it will never happen again. Then he get up, he give Eri to Mirio and tell her, give me a second. He starts walking and remove his armor. Then he slowly walk to them and tell them, or just telling Overhaul and tell him, you bastard, you still going after that little girl? What more you will take away from her? Treat her like an object, like she's not a human. What's wrong with you? Then Overhaul tell him with his cocky personality about his evil plan and how he will destroy all the quirks because they are just a disease and restoring humanity to his old self. And that really pissed Deku off. He tell him, you're using a girl as an object and you're talking about humanity? You bastard. No, you're a monster. And when he said that, Deku started getting surrounded by his electricity more and more, and he started getting violent. Then it stopped. Deku's hair spiked up, but he's still green. Then he vanished, and when he did, Kendo, the original one, disappeared. Then Rikia. Overhaul is freaking out and tell him, where are you? What's happening? Then everybody else start looking above Overhaul. When he did, he see Deku flying upside down looking down on him. Then Deku fly down in front of Overhaul and tell him, you're next. Overhaul touched Deku and nothing happened. He tried again, nothing happened. Deku pulled his face back and punched Overhaul straight in the face, setting him flying toward the wall. Then he looked down at Joey and kicked him straight to the group and tell him stay down, final warning. And the other hand, the clone are freaking out. Deku is sitting in front of them and they can't do anything. Deku look at them, put his hand at them, they start getting surrounded by electricity. Then he lift them up in the sky. Then he give a quick look to Overhaul. Then he yell, Monazon Dragon Fist. Then a massive dragon of electricity surged from nowhere, and it headed straight to the clones. And when it made contact, it completely destroyed them. The dragon did not even explode, it go through them like it was nothing. Then it slowly vanished. And when Overhaul see Deku true strength, and while he was busy killing his clone and make spikes going straight to Deku. Deku easily destroyed them, but that's exactly what Overhaul was planning to. The second he destroyed them, he grabbed the box that have the quirk destroying bullets, throw it at Nemoto, a signal to him to shoot him. But unbeknownst to Overhaul, Deku have superhuman senses, so when the box hit the ground, Deku heard it. Nemoto quickly put a bullet inside and shoot it at Deku when the smoke start clearing a bit. So he shoot and he seems like to make direct contact. Deku fall to his knees and put his hand where the bullet hit him, or seemingly hit him. Overhaul start getting up and tell him, all that talk and look what it get you. Powerless and I'm still standing. He slowly approached Deku, but when he is in arm reach, Deku get up and push him back to the wall. Overhaul was shocked and tell him, you don't have a quirk anymore. How do you have this strength? Deku tell him, I don't have a quirk anymore. Guess again. And the moment Deku says that, Overhaul start feeling a pain all around his body. He look down and see the quirk racing bullet just fall from his shirt. Overhaul tell him, when? How? Deku tell him, easy, I'm faster than a bullet. And you did say it yourself. Quirks are a disease. So if you are going to heal the world, let's start with you. Then Deku look at Nemoto and tell him, I did tell you that is the last warning. Maybe you didn't hear me, so... Then he punched him straight to the gut, making him throw out blood. Then he tell him, sorry, I think I just overdid it. He just had to control my quirk when I'm this angry. Then Deku throw him to the ground. He signaled to Aizawa that he's done. But everybody is just busy trying to catch their jaws. What just happened? Rocklock said. Bago smugly tell him, let me introduce to you to Dragono, the next #1 hero. Then Deku looked down and see the box of the quirk destroying bullets. He grabbed it, looked at Overhaul, looked at Eri, then destroyed in front of them, turning it into dust. Then Mr. Night Eye tell him where the other two. Deku point up. They look up and see Rikia and Nijiri floating. Deku put them down and they are unconscious. He look eyes with Aizawa and tell him, I did promise you that I will not kill anyone, so take him already. Then Deku start walking to Eri and tell her, are you hurt anywhere, Eri? She look at her bandage, legs and arms. Deku understand. He put his hand on her head and Kondo Coat used his lightning to heal her and remove the bandage from her. Then Deku pat her and tell her, you don't have to worry about anything from now on because I am here. But Deku's human instinct still feels something off. It's really it? No plan B? He just lost his quirk, his dream. He's not with a fight. He's up to something. Then Deku call up for the cops that they are near Overhaul and tell them, did you search him? Overhaul is terrified. This kid is on him. The cops shook their heads and tell him no. Deku slowly woke up to Overhaul and start searching him. And bingo, he found the second box. He opened it and there is blue bullets inside of it, not red like the other. One of the heroes tell him, good job there kid, now hand over the bullets. Deku looked at him, looked at Overhaul, then Eri, looked back at the pro and tell him no and vaporize the second box. The pro tell him, why did you do that kid, we can use them. Deku tell him, for what? For erasing other people's quirk? So what if you lost them and the villains get a hand on them? What will happen? Who will suffer because of your mistake? The pro stays silent. Deku tell him, that's what I thought, you didn't see the full picture, but I did. Overhaul starts screaming at Deku, telling him, what did you do? I cannot heal him now. Deku tell him, heal who? The old Heisakai chief. The oldest member from the Heisakai start looking at Overhaul and tell him, what does he mean? Deku looked at Overhaul and tell him, don't tell me, you are the one who put him into coma. Overhaul stays silent. Oldest members start yelling at him for what he did. Deku turned back and started walking slowly toward the chief. He put his hand on his head and closed his eyes and used his new skill. The old skill, it was telepathy, it became mind connect or something like that. So basically the skill evolved when Deku unlocked his dragon form. And when he activated the skill, he saw the old man memories. Then he created a space and started talking with the old man. The old man tell him where they are and who is him. Deku introduced himself and tell him the situation and showed him what happened. The old man cursed Overhaul for what he did. Then Deku tell him, I have a deal for you. Let me take care of Eri. Let me teach her how to use her quirk. Let me protect her. The old man looked at Deku's eyes and tell him, so if I said no, you will not heal me. Deku tell him, no, I will heal you, because you are just another person that Overhaul hurt. But I'm asking you, please let me take care of her. That girl went through a lot, and she doesn't deserve it. She deserves better. So please. The old man thinks for a second and tell him, you have a deal, kid. In the outside world, Deku keep his hand on the old man for a few minutes while he was talking to him. Then when he finished his conversation, the old man started glowing more and more. Then when the light dissipates, the old man opened his eyes and started walking. He looked at Deku and tell him, thank you, kid. Deku tell him, you don't have to thank me, just remember our deal. Old man nod tell him, I will, don't worry, you have my word. Then the old man see Overhaul and start walking toward him. Overhaul start crying to see his master up, but before he can utter a word, the old man slap him. Overhaul looks shocked and the old man tell him, I told you to take care of Eri, not use her. I am ashamed that I have ever take you in. Finally I get it right, this is the 5th time I tried. Overhaul start arguing with him and tell him he did it for him. Deku yelled at him and tell him, no, you did it for your own selfish reason. He just told you that he wants you to take care of her, not use her. You just twisted his word for your convenience. Overhaul yelled back at Deku and tell him, how do you know, huh? You don't know anything about our lives. Deku walked to Overhaul and grabbed him by his comfy shirt and lift him up. And tell him, you're right, I don't know anything about your life. But how could you turn on your master like this? He gave you a hand when you're weak. Then you're paying him by this? Overhaul tell him, how can you say that? I will never do that, I just want to make his dream come true. Deku tell him, no, it's not his dream, it's your dream. He just tell you to take care of her. That is your only mission. Then Deku let go of Overhaul and tell him, you're not a villain. You're just a spoiled little brat and a coward. You should be ashamed just looking at him. Overhaul tell him, and how do you know that, huh? Deku tell him, because I also did have a master. He took me when I was weak, alone. He just got my quirk and don't have any control over it. Took me under his wing, treated me like his own blood. Train me, make me the man I am right now. And he only demand one thing from me, to not be by his side in his last moments. Overhaul looked at Deku in disbelief. Then Deku continued. He want me to keep his image as a strong old man that defeat all odds. Not a frail old man waiting for death to come to him. And would you know what? I obey his order and did not come to see him at all. Even though it still haunts me to this day. Because that is the only thing that he demanded for me. Then we have you on the other hand. He give you everything. Even make you his heir. And how you repay him? By spitting his face. You should be ashamed. Overhaul looked totally defeated. He just stayed at the ground, not even uttering a word. Then Deku looked at the cops and tell them to take him before he do something he will regret. Then Jarvis tell Deku, you will really regret it? Deku tell him, probably not. The old Heisakai chief start looking at Deku, not even uttering a word. Then a police officer handcuff the old man and tell him, for now let's take you to the hospital just in case. After that, to the cell immediately. Then he tell him to stop for a second. He tell him he need to talk with Aizawa. He approach him and tell him, so you're his teacher? He point at Deku. Aizawa or not, then old man tell him we need to talk. Then a medic approach Mirio and tell him that they have to take Eri to hospital and check on her. Mirio try to hand over Eri, but she look at Deku. Deku better and tell everything is okay. She just have to go with the medic, check if something is wrong, just in case. Eri nods and go with the paramedic. When she got on ambulance, she's still a bit scared. He approach her, he take off his necklace and put it on Eri's neck. This necklace have the power to protect you, plus take off a promise that I will come back. Eri nods. Then the old man got on ambulance and they are taken to the hospital. And if you're asking why Deku do that, it's because he did use his skill appraisal on Eri and know that you don't have any control over her quirk. So right before he gave her the necklace, he put a dark spell on her, the black hole spell. So when she activates her quirk, the skill will activate and absorb all her power. And when he gets it back, he can remove the spell. Then Deku go back to his group. Aizawa pat Deku on the back and tell him good job there, kid. Then Aizawa realized something is wrong. He look around there and realized that there are no transport for the Saikai because Copy Overhaul destroyed them all. Then he asked a cop how long it will take to get new vehicles. He tell him maybe 10 minutes, 15, but the problem is that there is a lot of members of Saikai and the police cannot keep an eye on all of them. Aizawa looked at Deku and tell him lock the perimeter. Deku nod and create a dome of electricity around them. No one can get in, no one can get out. Headlock and the rest of the pros are shocked of Deku's strength. Bakugo looks smug and tell them, next #1 hero, I told you. Then Deku's clone appear, wait twice and Toga. Everyone was shocked to see them, but they are unconscious so there is no point of questioning them. The clone just give them to the police and they handcuff them. Then after 15 minutes or so, the transport arrive and they were taken away. And when everybody is heading back to UA, Aizawa tell them that he have to go somewhere else first, so you guys go ahead. They nod. So while Toga and Twice are getting transferred, they get attacked by the League of Villains, the same way they did in the anime, but this time not for overhaul, just to save their friends or comrades. So I think I'm going to stop it right here. Damn, it's almost half an hour. So hope you guys enjoyed this part, and if you do, drop a like. And when do you think Aizawa is going, and what will happen in next part? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And like always, peace.